Strength isn't loud, it doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, and it never asks to be respected. Most men aren't weak because they lack power. They're weak because they bleed it away, quietly, daily, without noticing. Stoicism teaches a truth most men avoid. Weakness isn't failure, it's habit. And habits don't ruin men overnight. They rot them slowly. Strength is built where no one is watching, in restraint, in discipline, in the moments you choose discomfort over escape. Today, you'll see 10 habits that quietly separate weak men from strong ones. Not in words, not in ambition, but in how they suffer, how they control themselves, and how they move through a world that does not care. Weak men react, strong men respond. The fastest way a man gives away his power is by reacting emotionally. A comment lands wrong, he snaps. A plan changes, he spirals. A tone feels disrespectful, his ego rushes to defend itself. From the outside, it looks like confidence. From the inside, it's loss of control. Stoicism teaches something most men never learn. Reaction is not strength, it's surrender. The moment something external decides your emotional state, you are no longer leading yourself. You are being led. Weak men live at the mercy of impulse. Their mood rises and falls with circumstances. Their behavior is dictated by irritation, embarrassment, or pride. Strong men operate differently. They feel the same emotions, anger, frustration, tension, but they do not obey them. Marcus Aurelius warned that the mind becomes enslaved the moment it reacts without judgment. That is why Stoics trained themselves to pause, not because they were slow, but because they were precise. That pause is everything. It's the space where a man asks, "Does this deserve my energy? Will reacting improve my position or weaken it? Is this about truth or about ego?" Most men never ask these questions. They react first and think later. And once you react, the damage is done. You can't take back words spoken in anger. You can't reclaim authority after losing composure. You can't look disciplined while behaving impulsively. Strong men understand this. They know that control is demonstrated, not declared. Silence, when chosen deliberately, is often stronger than confrontation. Calm, when others expect chaos, signals dominance without aggression. This is why emotionally disciplined men are respected even by those who dislike them. Because people instinctively trust someone who does not collapse under pressure. A man who can pause is a man who can choose. And a man who can choose cannot be controlled. That is the first separation. Weak men react, strong men respond, and everything else in Stoicism builds on that single distinction. Weak men explain themselves, strong men state and stand. One of the clearest signs of weakness is the need to be understood. Weak men explain everything. They justify their decisions. They soften their boundaries. They add context no one asked for. They apologize for choices that require no apology, not because they are wrong, but because they fear disapproval. Stoicism exposes the danger in this habit. The more you explain yourself, the more you teach others that your decisions are negotiable. Every explanation invites judgment. Every justification opens a door, and controlling people love open doors. Strong men do not live this way. They decide and they stand, not loudly, not aggressively, but firmly. A Stoic understands that clarity does not need defense. If a decision harms no one and aligns with principle, it does not require approval. Weak men say, "I just think maybe, I don't know. It's just that." Strong men say, "This is what I'm doing," and they stop talking. That silence is not awkward. It is intentional. It signals something powerful: self-trust. When you explain yourself excessively, you move from authority into submission. You stop leading your life and start auditioning for acceptance. Strong men refuse this trade. They know that people who respect you do not need explanations, and people who don't respect you will never be satisfied by them. So they don't argue, they don't persuade, they don't perform. They state their position calmly, and they let others deal with their own reactions. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that opinions are not obligations. Strong men live by that. They do not chase understanding, they allow misunderstanding. Because misunderstanding does not threaten a man who trusts his own judgment. And that is why strong men are rarely questioned twice. They don't defend their choices, they embody them. Weak men chase approval. Strong men anchor internally. Weak men look outward to decide how they feel. A compliment lifts them. A criticism destabilizes them. Silence makes them doubt themselves. Their confidence rises and falls based on reactions they don't control. Stoicism calls this emotional dependency. The moment your sense of worth depends on someone else's opinion, you become governable. Strong men refuse this. They build an internal standard. They do not ask, "Did they like me? Did I come across well? Was I accepted?" They ask, "Did I act with integrity? Did I stay disciplined? Did I betray my principles?" That difference is everything. Weak men outsource self-worth. Strong men generate it. Epictetus warned that when you seek approval, you place your peace in unstable hands. Praise and criticism come from the same external source. If one can move you up, the other can drag you down. Strong men step off that axis. They respect feedback, but they are not ruled by it. They listen without absorbing. They evaluate without identifying. This creates emotional sovereignty. A man anchored internally cannot be flattered into compromise or shamed into silence. That is why such men are difficult to manipulate. They are polite, but not pliable. Calm, but not needy. Present, but not dependent. And people feel it. Approval seekers adjust themselves to fit the room. Strong men let the room adjust to them, not through dominance, but through alignment. They don't chase validation. They become stable enough that validation becomes irrelevant. And when approval loses its grip, power returns quietly. Because no one can control a man who no longer needs permission to respect himself. Weak men avoid discomfort. Strong men train through it. Weak men organize their lives around comfort. They avoid difficult conversations. They delay hard decisions. They escape boredom, silence, and effort. Anything that creates tension is postponed, softened, or ignored. Stoicism teaches that this instinct is where weakness quietly grows. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly erodes resilience. Strong men understand a harder truth. Discomfort is training. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship not to suffer, but to strengthen their capacity to endure. Cold mornings, hunger, fatigue, uncertainty. Not because pain is noble, but because comfort breeds fragility. A man who avoids discomfort becomes dependent on ease. When life inevitably applies pressure, he collapses. Strong men choose discomfort deliberately. They do what is necessary before it feels convenient. They have the hard conversation instead of letting resentment rot. They stick to discipline when motivation disappears. They sit in silence instead of numbing themselves with noise. This builds something rare, tolerance for pressure. A man who can endure discomfort is not easily shaken. He doesn't panic when plans change. He doesn't fold under criticism. He doesn't break when life resists him. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the obstacle is the way. Strong men live this. They don't wait for conditions to improve. They improve their capacity to face whatever conditions appear. This is why disciplined men appear calm in chaos. They have trained for it. Discomfort stops being an enemy and becomes a tool. And the man who can use discomfort instead of running from it cannot be weakened by it. That is the separation. Weak men avoid discomfort. Strong men are forged by it. If this resonated with you, it's because you're already on the path. This channel isn't for noise, motivation, hype, or empty confidence. It's for men choosing discipline over comfort, clarity over approval, and self-mastery over reaction. Subscribe to NexusMind if you're done performing and ready to build real strength, quietly. Leave a comment with one word that describes the habit you're working on right now. Not for validation, for commitment. And remember, the strongest men don't announce their growth. They live it. Weak men seek comfort in distraction. Strong men build focus. Weak men are rarely at peace with their own minds. The moment silence appears, they reach for distraction. A phone, noise, entertainment, endless stimulation. Not because they enjoy it, but because stillness exposes discomfort they haven't mastered. Stoicism warns that a distracted mind is an ungoverned mind. If you cannot sit with your thoughts, you cannot command them. Strong men train focus deliberately. They create space without stimulation. They sit in silence without escaping. They finish what they start without needing constant novelty. This is not about productivity. It's about self-command. Distraction fragments attention. Fragmented attention weakens judgment. Weak judgment leads to weak decisions. Strong men understand this chain. They guard their attention like a scarce resource. They do not give it away freely to algorithms, drama, or emotional noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Strong men choose those colors intentionally. They read instead of scroll. They reflect instead of react. They think before they speak. And because of this, their words carry weight. A focused man does not need to speak often. When he does, people listen. Distraction creates restlessness. Focus creates gravity. That gravity is felt in posture, in timing, in presence. This is why distracted men appear anxious, scattered, and easily influenced, and why focused men appear calm, deliberate, and grounded. Weak men numb themselves from discomfort. Strong men use focus to master it. And the man who controls his attention controls his future. Weak men avoid boundaries. Strong men enforce them calmly. Weak men fear setting boundaries. They worry it will cause tension. They worry it will upset others. They worry it will make them look difficult or unlikable. So they tolerate what they shouldn't. They accept disrespect. They overextend themselves. They stay silent when lines are crossed. Stoicism exposes the cost of this habit. What you tolerate, you teach. Strong men understand this early. Boundaries are not aggression. They are clarity. A Stoic does not raise his voice to defend his limits. He states them once and stands by them. Weak men explain their boundaries. Strong men enforce them, not with anger, not with threats, but with consistency. They don't argue when a line is crossed. They don't negotiate self-respect. They adjust access. If someone disrespects them, They don't explode. They disengage. If someone repeatedly ignores limits, they don't plead. They distance. This creates a powerful signal. My time, energy, and presence are not free. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you don't have to turn this into something. Strong men live that truth. They don't turn boundary violations into emotional events. They simply respond with consequence. Calm consequences teach faster than emotional reactions, and people feel it. Those who respect boundaries become closer. Those who test them fall away. Strong men accept both outcomes. They know boundaries don't push the right people away. They filter the wrong ones out. And when a man enforces boundaries without apology, without drama, without explanation, he stops being tested. Because people don't challenge clarity, they challenge hesitation. That is the separation. Weak men avoid boundaries. Strong men live by them. Weak men seek recognition. Strong men build in silence. Weak men want to be seen. They announce progress. They seek applause. They look for validation at every step. Not because they're proud, but because without recognition, they doubt themselves. Stoicism warns against this trap. The need to be noticed weakens discipline. When effort depends on praise, consistency collapses the moment attention fades. Strong men operate differently. They build quietly. They train without broadcasting. They improve without explanation. They let results speak long after effort is forgotten. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do what is right without seeking witnesses. Strong men live by that. They understand that real strength does not need an audience. Silence sharpens focus. Privacy protects momentum. When no one is watching, discipline becomes honest. Weak men perform improvement. Strong men embody it. That is why strong men often surprise others. Their growth appears sudden, but it wasn't. It was happening quietly while others were talking. This also protects you from comparison. When you stop broadcasting progress, you stop measuring yourself against others. You measure against yesterday. And that is the only comparison Stoicism respects. Recognition is external. Mastery is internal. Strong men choose mastery. They don't rush to prove themselves. They don't chase approval. They let time reveal the truth. And when results arrive, they don't explain how hard it was. They simply move forward. That silence is not secrecy, it's strength. Weak men seek recognition. Strong men build in silence. Weak men let emotions lead. Strong men govern them. Weak men believe their emotions are commands. If they feel angry, they react. If they feel offended, they defend. If they feel insecure, they retreat. Their internal state dictates their behavior. Stoicism calls this slavery, not to people, but to impulse. Strong men understand something different. Emotions are information, not instructions. Anger signals a boundary, fear signals risk, discomfort signals growth, but none of them get to drive. A Stoic observes emotion without becoming it. He feels the surge, and then he pauses. That pause is power. Marcus Aurelius warned that the mind becomes its own tyrant when it surrenders to passion. Strong men refuse that surrender. They don't suppress emotion. They regulate it. They acknowledge what they feel without letting it hijack their actions. This is why disciplined men appear calm in situations that break others. They have trained their nervous system. They don't explode under pressure. They don't collapse under criticism. They don't spiral when things go wrong. Weak men vent emotions outward. Strong men process them inward. One creates chaos, the other creates clarity. This emotional governance creates psychological authority. People sense when a man is not easily provoked. They test him less. They respect him more. Because a man who governs his emotions cannot be manipulated by them. And the highest form of power is not force, it is self-command. Weak men are ruled by how they feel. Strong men are guided by who they choose to be. That is the final separation. Weak men blame circumstances. Strong men take ownership. Weak men look outward when things go wrong. They blame timing. They blame people. They blame the system, the economy, their past, their upbringing. Responsibility feels heavy, so they set it down. Stoicism calls this the final illusion of weakness, because the moment you blame something outside yourself, you surrender the one thing that could save you: agency. Strong men do the opposite. They assume responsibility even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unfair, even when they didn't cause the problem. Not because they enjoy blame, but because ownership restores power. A Stoic understands this clearly. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond and what you do next. Weak men ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Strong men ask, "What do I do now?" That question changes everything. Blame freezes you in the past. Ownership moves you forward. When a weak man fails, he searches for excuses that protect his ego. When a strong man fails, he searches for lessons that sharpen his character. This is why strong men improve faster. They don't waste energy defending themselves from reality. They study it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. Strong men live by this. They treat obstacles as instruction, mistakes as feedback, loss as training. Ownership creates authority. People trust men who don't point fingers, don't complain loudly, and don't collapse under pressure. Because a man who owns his life cannot be controlled by circumstances. Weak men wait for conditions to improve. Strong men improve themselves regardless of conditions. And once a man fully accepts ownership, there is no one left to blame and no one left to fear. That is the final step before mastery. Weak men seek comfort. Strong men seek discipline. This is the quiet habit that determines everything. Weak men organize their lives around comfort. They ask, "What feels good right now? What can I avoid? What's the easiest option?" Comfort becomes the compass, and comfort slowly erodes strength. Stoicism warns against this trap more than almost anything else, because comfort does not build character. It softens it. Strong men live by a different principle. Discipline first, comfort later, if at all. They do what needs to be done before they feel ready, before motivation arrives, before conditions are perfect. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand something weak men don't. Discipline creates freedom. Comfort creates dependence. A weak man waits until he feels like acting. A strong man acts and lets feeling follow. This is why strong men rise early when no one is watching. Why they train when excuses are available. Why they choose silence over impulse, structure over chaos, principle over pleasure. Stoicism teaches that the untrained mind will always choose ease over excellence. That's why the Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, cold hunger restraint, silence, not to punish themselves, but to ensure comfort never ruled them. Because the man who cannot endure discomfort cannot be trusted with power. Weak men chase motivation. Strong men build routines. Weak men need external pressure. Strong men apply internal standards. And here's the truth most avoid. The life you want is on the other side of what you resist doing. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a daily decision. And once discipline becomes identity, no circumstance can break you. This is the final separation. Not strength of body, not dominance over others, but mastery over self. And that is the Stoic definition of power. Final truth. Weakness isn't loud. It's quiet. It hides in habits you repeat every day. No one becomes weak overnight. They drift there, choosing comfort over discipline, approval over self-respect, emotion over control. Strong men don't look different. They live different. They don't beg for motivation. They don't explain themselves. They don't chase validation. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They choose restraint when no one is watching. They choose structure when chaos is easier. They choose self-mastery over self-indulgence. Stoicism was never about appearing strong. It was about becoming ungovernable. And now the line is clear. You don't rise by talking, you rise by habits. The question isn't who you want to be. It's what you're willing to do every single day.